all mine. Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Hey guys, Speedoz here, and today I bring you a new video about our Fire Blade Vortex. Actually, it's a more the next version of our Blade Vortex with 3 inspired learnings. What I did in this video was to remove the inspired learnings from the build, put in a headhunter, and then use the remaining points, remaining passives to allocate to cluster jewels, more life, and so on. So I will show you right now what the changes that we did on the build. We've reached a level 95. For the Pantheon, I've got Briny King and Grufcool. For the Sirus fight, what you can do is to change the Grufcool for the Rizlafa because it helps a lot with the Flask charges. So have that in mind when fighting Conquerors or just Sirus. For the Bandits, we've helped a Lyra for multiplier and the resists. The Ascendancy is the same. The order that I got was opportunistic. Unstable Infusion, Deadly Infusion, and Mistwalker. Very nice as well. On the POB, on the video description, you can see your progression through leveling. At the bottom left, there are a few passive trees that you can look at. But at the last phase, you can see that we removed all the inspired learnings and then got some extra nodes regarding life, some cluster jewel nodes here. On the notes tab, you can see some gem suggestions and also check. You also will have the link of the 3 inspired learning video and the Portuguese version in case you need. I left both options here, both alternatives. So I will show right now the jewels that we are using. On the regular jewels, we are using a unique jewel, which is Intuitive Leap. What this jewel does, it allows you to allocate nodes without necessarily then being connected to the tree. So you can allocate Herbalism, Fever, Heartseeker, and Survivalists, some damage nodes, Frenzy, Maximum Life, and the resists here. The regular jewels will be increased maximum life with a damage modifier and also a defensive modifier. It could be elemental rest, could be something else. As you can see, I got a maximum life, global crit multiplier, elemental rest. This one I got fire damage multiplier for spells and life. On this one I've got a maximum life and some resists. If you have some currency to spend and willing to, you can get an unnatural instinct. Otherwise, you can just replace this by a regular Geo with maximum life and some critical strike multiplier. It's really up to you. I mean, at the end, it will give you 500k DPS over a regular Geo with multiplier and fire damage, for example. So it's not really big DPS increase, but for min-maxing, it's a really nice option to have in mind. For the cluster jewel, we have a large cluster jewel with 8 passive skills at maximum that deals increased physical damage with battle harden and force multiplier. Why I chose them? Because they give us physical damage increase and also chance to deal double damage, which is huge. You also have the option of getting a large cluster duel with another added passive skill that will give us a little bit more of increased physical damage. But obviously the cost will increase, so it's really up to you. You can look up for that if you want. Medium cluster duels have 4 or 5 passive skills with increased area damage that both give us magnifier and vast power. Magnifier gives us increased area of effect, increased area damage, and multiplier. Vast power gives us increased area damage with 3% increased AoE per power charge. Since we have both two cluster duels, we have a 6% increased AoE per power charge. The number of power charges that we have on our tree are 3, plus 3 of our regular character, plus another one from our Ascendancy, so we have a total of 7 power charges. 7 times 6, 42 increased AoE in total, just because of the cluster duels, which helps a lot with your clear. There is another regular duel that we are using, which is global physical damage, so you can also use global physical damage on the other duels if you feel like. Global critical strike multiplier for spells, and increased maximum life. The last of all will be a Abyss duel with maximum life and phasing. Phasing helps a lot regarding quality of life when you're moving through the monster packs, so it really helps a lot when clearing. The gear is really about the same from the last video, so if you have already watched it, what really changed was the Headhunter, but I will go over all the equipment, so for those who haven't seen the past video will have the chance to get the explanation as well. So in this case, we've got the short bow that comes from the Porcupine Divination card set. Really easy to get, really cheap as well. I believe every card now is around 1C. So what you will do is to use Deafening Essence of Woe to have with certainty the increased spell damage modifier there. If you are lucky enough, you'll have the +1 socket gems, and then you're just ready to multi-mod the bow with the +2 socket support gems and chance to deal double damage. If you don't get this +1 socket support gems, +1 socket gems, you will have to metacraft it. How do you do that? You throw an essence and then you use annulment until you have 2 open prefixes and 2 open suffixes. So as long as you have one suffix and the spell damage increase, you can use the multi-mod, cannot roll attack mods. That will make your bow to have all suffixes full. So after that, you'll be able to throw an Exalted Orb, which will guarantee you the +1 socket gems. After that, you can remove all the crafted mods, then multi-mod it again, craft the +2 socket support gems, and then craft the double damage. So that's what I did. So it cost me around, I don't know, 7 exalts, the whole process, something around that. Really, really easy to get this bow, so feel free to do it as well. For the helmet, as I said in the past video, we have a 30% increased Blade Vortex duration, a very shit base, Magistrate Crown with item level 81. What's best here is to have a Hubris, item level minimum 84, with Unleash and the +1 power charge. That will give you a more comfortable playstyle because the Unleash will help you with the blades, and also power charge because it will increase your damage and your clear speed. Over that, you can get maximum life and resistance that will do for the helmet. The only reason that I didn't get the Hubris that I told you is because it was costing 30 exalts, only the base with the enchantment, which I wasn't going to pay for the build. So feel free to do as you please. On the Quiver, we have a Signal Fire to help us to convert our damage, because 50% of physical damage is converted to fire damage. But what you should look for on this Quiver is the last modifier gain 35% of physical damage as extra fire damage. I've got 34 because I was looking for some corruption implicit modifier, but honestly this doesn't really increase our DPS by a lot. I think it's at tops 100k. If you consider 7 million DPS, it's literally almost nothing. So just focus on getting the 35% of physical damage as extra fire. That's the most important thing to aim on our quiver. The amulet here, we have a multiplier with a single resists and gain physical damage as extra fire damage. I also crafted maximum life and anointed annihilation, which is a very cheap option for crit builds because it gives us some damage and also costs nothing basically. The base here doesn't matter, the clarity skill doesn't matter. Feel free to get any other base. I just bought this very cheap, so I wasn't really bothering about the bases at all. So just have that in mind. The global critical strike multiplier, resist and physical extra fire are the most important in my opinion. What you can do also is obviously increase the level of Blade Vortex by getting +1 dex or +1 Fizz gems. So it's really up to you. The rings here are both Circle of Anguish. Both of them have increased fire damage and Heart of Ash increased buff effects. It was a little bit of surprise to me because the prices of these rings skyrocketed. I bought one for 8.5 and the other one for 9 last week, I think. And now they are costing very much more. I think 17x probably, or 18, something like that. But these rings are very good for increasing your damage. They help you with the clear as well. But honestly, they are not mandatory to start this build. What you could do is to have rare rings with maximum life, some fire damage modifiers, some multiplier if you can buy or craft them. They are very good as soon as you have currency to spend or trying to min-max the build. So just have that in mind. They are very nice, but they are not mandatory to start the build. I have also a Hands of the High Templar because it's very easy to get this corruption, elemental weakness on hits, on top of the maximum life and the resist that this gloves gives us, which is very nice as well. We have a replica Aeneas. This boots is also a nice option because it's cheap, gives us maximum life, increased damage per power charge and increased movement speed. Since we have 7 power charges, it is very nice. But obviously you can look for another rare boots with Tailwind maybe. Maximum life, resist, it's really up to you. Feel free to craft your boots or just buy another. The belt, like I told you, obviously you don't need a headhunter for this build to work, but it's certainly more fun in my opinion. You can replace this by any other rare belt, a Stygian Vise or any other rare belt with modifiers that you may please. So increase the fire damage, increase elemental damage, I don't know. So it's really up to you. It's a open slot for a belt. Okay. Divine Flask, Diamond Flask, Granite. The Granite can be replaced as well for any other utility flask. Sealed Near Swallow helps a lot with the survivability, gives us Onslaught. The modifier there could be replaced by increased critical strike chance during flask effect and a Quicksilver for our movementation. We have a Inspiration, Unleash, Control Destruction, Blade Vortex, Empower and Elemental Focus. Have in mind that we have our BV at level 20 and our Empower at level 3. So you can easily get +2 gems on your +2 levels on your Blade Vortex, which is a lot when dealing with spells. We have Castle Damage Taken, Val RF, Increased Duration and Steel Skin, Arcane Surge, Flame Dash, Smoke Mine, Second Wind, Arctic Armor, Heart of Purity, Heart of Ash and a Portal, Withering Step with Second Wind, and also a 4-link with Wave of Conviction, Hex Touch, Combustion and Flammability. How to play? If you haven't watched the past video, you can throw a Smoke Mine, detonate and use the Flame Dash. You can also use Withering Touch to gain some movement speed and some defense properties. Always remember to have your blades up. When you're fighting bosses, remind of using Flame Dash to get the Arcane Surge buff, and also to use Wave of Conviction so you can deal more damage against bosses. Pop up your Vol RF and your Vol BV, and then you're ready to go and literally obliterate any boss in the game, especially if you have Headhunter buffs. Even when you don't, which I clipped and also did many times on this stream, you have a very nice, very decent damage against Conquerors, for example, against Sirus. So overall speaking, it's a very nice build in my opinion. I have spent, when I did this build, around 30 exalts, but I don't really like to talk about price because prices can fluctuate between through time, so they can increase or decrease depending on the popularity of the build. With the Headhunter, the cost obviously will increase, but like I told you, it's not necessary, and you can also replace the rings for some cheap options. What you really need to start this build is a bowl with maybe only Deafening Essence of Woe and an Explodey chest. Those are my recommendations because they will help you clear very easily the packs, the heists. I farmed around 20 exalts just by farming contracts and blueprints with this build. Was very easy. Sometimes I died because I was playing most of the time with the Inspired Learning, but overall I haven't died much through the heists. Most of them I completed very easily and very fast, which is very important when generating currency, okay? I enjoyed this a lot, especially after removing the Inspired Learning, so I got more tanky with some more life, I got more damage. So if you have the currency to spend and want some fast mapping while also be able to clearing the endgame bosses, this is the build for you. I really enjoyed it, and I would certainly play it again in the future. So thank you very much for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Tá arrumado.
What's this? A real challenge. You finally caught my attention.
What's this? A real challenge? Razoável, né? Se vier um strike o kit da liga.
The others found strength in their projections. They became reliant. Low on mark.
Eu evito de usar a Flask nessas horas para sobrar mais para depois.
Really interesting enough to warrant all this pain.
Aqui eu só usei um Diamond. Ah, lembrar que a Empower tá até nível 3, né, mano? Podia estar ganhando mais um level aqui no BV. E o BV tá o quê? BV tá 20 também, dá pra ganhar 2 levels aqui na fight. Vixe. Vai ficar ainda mais forte isso.